And we're live. Hey, welcome. Thank you for coming in and listening to our conversation. Today I have Isabella Fortin. She is a coach for women to find a better life and a peaceful understanding. I met her actually here on LinkedIn in one of the groups. And what I'm big on is actually getting out and focusing in on those partnerships and networking and getting, the more I sit back and look at the world, I realize there's so much more of it out there than I've experienced. And you know what? It's the connecting with great people that doing good things in this world that will enlighten us all and bring us all closer together because we are better together than we are apart. Uh, no matter what you're going through, you're not alone. There are people out there, and that's why I want to showcase people that I've come across and that are actually living what they say they are. Because you know how some people they talk one thing and show another. Well, I want to show the human side to individuals that I've met through my personal life and through LinkedIn and other social media platforms. And I decided to do this because why not? I think it's a phenomenal thing. This is my way to give back to the world.
This is
So,
the best. Why not is the best reason anyway.
yeah, because no one else is doing it. And,
That's right.
I've seen so many interviews and everything on the internet and everything. They're so scripted. That's why people like podcasts because most podcasts, I think, are more organic and dynamic within
More
itself.
more authentic. People aren't they aren't being scripted by the lawyers and by the 17 levels of management, and it's the same thing with doing live like we're doing right now.
Exactly. So, Isabella, tell me a little bit about
Hi.
yourself.
Well, I'm French Canadian, so if you hear a little bit of an accent and if I stumble on an English word, that's the reason. My mother tongue is French. I'm a veteran. I served 10 years in the Air Force. And then I looked for a long time. Once I released from the Air Force, I know in the States it's called a discharge. In Canada, it's called a release. And so when I released and I started looking for employment, I was lost. The transition was really difficult for me because I wasn't finding anything purposeful, right? Because when you're in the military, you serve. It's in the job description. You serve your country, you serve your team members, you serve the higher ranks. And I wasn't finding that in the corporate world. So I looked and looked and looked and looked, and I became a massage therapist, which I actually did for 23 years. I retired last year,
Mhm.
but really early on my massage career, a client of mine. This is how I became a mindset coach. A client of mine said, "You know what, Isabel, you're a great massage therapist, and I come here every month because my body always feels relaxed when I'm done. But in reality, I come here to talk to you because whenever I leave here, whatever problem I was having at home or situation I was facing at work, when I leave your house, I always leave with a new perspective."
Mhm.
And I thought, well, maybe there's something there. So I started studying. I studied EFT and I studied NPL and I studied and studied and studied. And that's how I became a mindset coach. And for me, that is how I found my purpose is to help others, being authentic, being who they are, reconnecting to their essence and learning this wonderful word called no. You have to be open to people, you have to be open to opportunities, you have to be open to the world, but you have to set boundaries and
Mhm.
very nicely and politely, like declining, refusing something is not refusing the person that's offering, it's just refusing. If you offer me, I don't drink alcohol, Philip. If you offer me
Yeah.
a glass of wine, and I refuse that glass of wine, I'm not being offended. I'm not offending you. I'm just saying, no, thank you. I don't drink alcohol. But I found that so many people, and women in particular, have lost their ability to refuse things because they think they're going to hurt the other person. Well, setting boundaries for yourself is doesn't have to be an exclusive thing. You don't need to be pushing somebody out by refusing what they're offering. And I find people got that mixed up a little bit with time. So that's my purpose now. I help people, especially women. I do have male clients, but I help what I call my midlife women reconnect. They're empty nesters. The kids are all grown up, and their purpose was to be a mother for so long. And now that the kids are out of the house and they have all this free time, and
Freedom.
they go, oh, okay, so what the hell do I do now? Right? Well, you go within, you go inside, and you reconnect to who you are. And you know what? It's so beautiful, Philip, to be witness to someone discovering something they didn't know about themselves. That's the most beautiful thing on earth, to me,
That
anyway.
aha moment going, I do that.
I like reading. I have a funny story. My grandmother, my maternal grandmother, was 75 years old, and I had to go pick her up to bring her to a party. And when I got to her house, she was reading. She was rocking her, sitting in her rocking chair as usual, but she was reading a book. And I had never seen my grandmother read. I mean, she was born in 1903, so I think she had a grade two education, and she was reading a book. And I kind of looked at her, and she says, "Isabel, would you mind waiting? I just want to finish this chapter." Like, she had 2 or 3 paragraphs left. I said,
Mhm.
"Yeah, no, that's okay." And she finished her book. And Philip, I swear, she closed, she put the little thingy to keep the page, and she closed her book, and she closed her eyes, and she took a deep breath, like satisfied breath. And she looked at me. She was 75 years old. She looked at me and she said, "I didn't know I enjoyed reading." What a beautiful thing. She was 75 years old and she was still learning things about herself.
Mhm.
That, to me, that's bigger than anything else. When my clients, or even people in my community and people aren't paying me, and we're just doing what you and I are doing right now, having conversations, when they kind of go and you see the light in the eyes change, you
Yes.
see it. You see, it's physical. It doesn't only happen in the brain, it's physical. The eyes light up, and you go, "Oh my God, they just discovered something about themselves." That's my passion.
Yeah, and I think that's part of how we ended up where we're at now,
Yeah.
because I we had similar journeys,
Yes.
and because of the military, because you don't know what the military is going to throw at you.
No.
And I was military police, so wow, I never imagined I would ever do the things I did when I went active duty. Uh, it opened up the whole world to me, and I got to actually experience it rather than read about it. And that's what I cherish the most, is having that a real life historical, because we're all living the exact same timeline.
There are more things that unite us than there are things that separate us.
Yes, and
That's
unfortunately, the fear mongering and everything out there, they try to tell you the world's a horrible place. Actually,
it's
just be
not.
smart about it.
Yeah, and it's not. And I mean, being military, I don't know if your experience was as it was as mine was, but being in the military, yes, you face some hardship, and yes, you go to wars and you're deployed and you see atrocities and you're witness the worst of humans.
Chaos.
However, you're also you're also connected to the best of humans, serving, being in service of others, a community, like the military. I don't know how it was for you, but the community, when you trust someone with your life, imagine how much you trust them with your car, so it's, you always, and the sense, for me, that's why I stayed for as long as I did, because I actually did not enjoy the work part of it, but I stayed for as long as I did because there's a deep sense of belonging that is difficult to find once you get out. You have to create it. And being in service in the military, it kind of comes with the territory.
Yes.
That was my experience. It was just, and being a French Canadian, whenever I was, I mean, Quebec is the only French speaking province in Canada. So if I was posted to anywhere else, as soon as I got there, just by my name, they would know I was French, and they would say, "Oh, do you know Nathalie Bernard?" And they would name me. I mean, just the welcoming officer would name me all the French Canadian on base that they knew, so I would know where they are, where they work, and so it's, the service goes beyond serving your
Mhm.
country. It's serving each other.
Well, you're part of a bigger, the macro group,
Yes.
and having those connections, no matter where I've gone in the world, I've always met other veterans or contractors or people that have been with the the government at one point or another. And for me, I realized that I had more empathy, compassion, emotional intelligence, mindfulness in other countries. And then when I came back here, that all went out the window. I put them on a different standard because we're a first world country.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues we shouldn't have that we still do because people don't talk.
True.
And that's why these conversations are phenomenal, is because you don't know what the next person knows, and unless you ask.
No, yeah, you never know what happens behind closed doors. And you know what, Philip, being aren't capable of being kind to themselves. So sometimes kindness to others is difficult as well.
Yes, I look at it as you. It all starts with you, and
It does.
that's something that I actually uh, had to learn myself and realize that, oh my God. And it was that epiphany moment to where I realized, ah,
It was me all
it was
along.
me all the trauma and everything is my perception of what
Amen, brother.
really happened. And usually it's skewed because your ego and pride makes you make the dumbest, irrational decisions out there. And
Amen.
one of the biggest problems I had is everything was a battle
Yeah.
because I had PTSD.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it leaves a mark. It takes a toll.
Well, and that's the thing about it is it's not just one event, it's compounded trauma. There's stuff that should freak the heck out of me that I walk into calm as heck because it's chaos. I get it. I don't
Hmm.
freak out, but yet I used to, if I lost my keys, I lost my mind.
Yeah, it's because it's cumulative.
Yes.
And it's funny because we do that sometimes. We will be a witness to something very minor, like a minor event, and you look at the reaction of the person, and the reaction, from your perspective, from what you know, the reaction is like blown out, way out of the water.
Hmm.
And you kind of stand or sit in judgment of the reaction. If you try to be a kind person, you're not judging the person, but you're judging the event. But you
Yes.
don't know, it was this the straw that broke the camel's back, because most of the time that's all it is. It's cumulative, right? It's a
Yes.
little bit, and you woke up and you're having an abusive relationship with, fill in the blank here, husband, wife, partner, or even boss or colleague or whatever, and then you go home and your dog poops on the floor in your living room, and it's just, and at the end of the day somebody does this, and you blow up because you let it sit. and
Stew.
yes, and stew. And you know what, I have a very unpopular phrase.
Yes.
When people tell me, oh, patience is the mother of all virtues, I always say, go to hell, patience. And I'm going to explain why. Because
Okay.
if you can calmly set the boundaries, like what I was just saying now, if you can talk to the boss, the partner, the wife, husband, whatever, that said something to irritate you, if you it will never escalate.
Yes.
But we are good humans, and we keep it in, and we take it, and we excuse our own needs to excuse the other one, right? We exclude our own needs to excuse the behavior of the other person. And that's how it gets escalated, because we are patient. Now, I'm not suggesting we start yelling at people, because impatience is not that. Impatience is just not tolerating what is not for us in the moment. And if I go back to me telling you earlier in the conversation that I don't drink alcohol, if I'm
Yes.
invited to your house and you say, Isabel, would you like a glass of wine? And I say, you know what, no thanks. But I don't say why. Well, you might think that I'm just being polite. So you're going to ask a second time later on, like 20 minutes later. Were you sure you didn't want a glass of wine? I'm going to say, no, thanks. I have my water, I'm good. And then an hour later, because now we're, having cocktails or whatever, or we're having digestifs, and
Hmm.
then you offer me a glass of brandy, and I'll say no. But every single time, I'm kind of being aggravated. But if
Didn't you get it the
from
first time?
exactly, but if from the get-go, if from the
Yes.
first offer of a glass of wine, I say, you know what, Philip, thank you very much. I appreciate the gesture, but I don't drink alcohol. You're not gonna offer me alcohol for the rest of the evening, and
Forever you.
I'm never, yeah, thank you for that. And it's never going to escalate in my mind.
Yes.
And I am not excluding you. I am not telling you that I don't like you. I am not doing anything to you. I am simply voicing that I do not drink alcohol. I don't like it. It's got nothing to do with you. But people don't voice it because they're trying to be polite, and they're patient, and that's how things get blown out of proportion
Hmm.
in my experience. But what the hell do I know?
Well, and that's what we're here to find out. Because, and I think with me, when I was younger, I thought I knew more than I did. And I didn't understand the culture and etiquette because of my own ignorance and not being able to get out and experience people from different areas, different cultures. And that's why I was thankful for the military.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what, Philip? It's the arrogance of youth. We were all
Yes.
arrogant in our 20s. I
Yeah.
remember my I remember my dad, I think I was 16 or 17, and I had said something, and I can't remember what, but I remember my dad leaving me a note on the table saying, you know what, if you keep with this attitude, perhaps you should leave my house while you still know everything.
Exactly.
He wasn't kicking me out. He was just pointing to, listen, Chica, I've been on this planet for 33 years longer than you have. Perhaps I know a thing or two. That's all he was saying, and I
Yes.
understood that. But it's the arrogance of youth. We're all like that. We're in our
My
20s.
kids are still, they're starting to figure it out in their late 20s or their mid
Yeah,
20s.
I was just gonna say, how old are they now?
Yeah. Well, for me, my oldest is 26 and I have twins that are 24, about to be 25.
Yeah,
And
that's an age where they start seeing the world differently, slowly but
well,
surely.
it's because they're responsible for themselves. And
That's
one of the
key.
things my daughter said, this adulting thing sucks. I said, yeah, life is wonderful when somebody else is paying the bills.
That's right. And it's so ironic because when we're kids, all we want to be is adults. And when we get to be adults, we go, oh man, I had it made. I had it
Yes.
made. And when we become adults, we take ourselves seriously too. And we're all guilty of it. I'm a mindset coach and I do it,
Yes.
and 2, 3 days ago, I told you that story, but 2, 3 days ago, the weather's been really crappy here. And I have to admit, I'm very affected by the weather. I was walking home, I was walking my dog. I got home, it was raining, it was windy, I was in a pissy mood, I was swearing like a sailor. I got home, and the three kids across the street from me, they are three boys, they are 8, 10, and 12, and they're playing hoops in the driveway in the rain. And I looked at them, and what a reality check that was for me. Because I looked at them and I said, well, why the hell am I? We're in the same on the same planet and on the same city and on the
Mhm.
same street in the same weather. So
Yes.
why am I pissed off? They're happy and they're playing. I'm the reason I'm pissed off. It's got nothing to do with the rain. Right?
Yes.
It's me. If they can play in the rain, why can't I play in the rain? Well, because I'm an adult and I have to pay the mortgage and I have to.
Screw that. Go out and play.
Thank you. But we lose track of it, and it's true that as adult we do have some serious shit to take care of. Let's not. I'm not minimizing the responsibilities that we have. Taking care of children, paying the mortgage, taking care of the house, so it actually has a value for when we need that money.
Mhm.
They're all very serious things. That doesn't mean we need to take ourselves seriously. It was just raining. It's not the end of the world. It was just raining. The next
And they
day,
had a different mindset than you did.
exactly. The next day, I leave, same time. I leave to go walk the dog again. But I had the aha moment from the day before. I leave and it's not raining. And I'm walking along and everybody's happy. I'm happy. I'm listening to a wonderful podcast. My dog is happy. Halfway through, Philip, thunderstorm. I came home drenched and laughing.
Yes.
Because you know what? I looked up and I said, I got it. I'm not mad for this. I got it.
Yeah.
You reminded me yesterday with the kids across the street. I'm okay. I came home, Philip, my jacket was drenched. My jeans were wetter than they would have been in the washing machine. I was drenched, but I wasn't upset anymore.
No. And thing about it is you can walk right in, take all those wet clothes off, and get into your snuggly stuff and go from there.
Exactly. I removed the clothes directly in the foyer, and I brought my laundry basket, put everything, and just had them at spin cycle for a minute or two.
All right, we're getting close to 5 minutes left. What I wanted to finish with is tell me your passion and why you're doing what you're doing and what your clients and everything can get out of the experience with you?
My passion, I have two, and I'm going to give you a professional and a personal. My personal passion is I'm a dancer. I love dancing. I dance as often as I could because it brings me joy.
Outstanding.
And you know what? The reason I wanted to voice it out is because my passion in my personal life helps my professional life. Because dancing keeps me in the moment. I need to be there in the moment, listening to the music, enjoying the music, and listening to what my partner is actually not saying and making me do. And it's making me a better coach. It truly is. And that's not why I do it. That's just a great side bonus. And being a mindset coach is no longer what I do for a living. It is who I am because I find myself doing that all the time with just simple conversation with people and just finding the little crack
Mm-hmm.
shell and trying to just move it a little bit so they can see where the light is, because that's all I do is point to where the light is. And as far as my work is concerned, it's what I was saying earlier. It's the haha moment. It's the looking at the 55-year-old woman who's been in a crappy marriage, but he's a good guy, so she won't leave, and that's okay. It's okay if she wants to stay. That's fine too. But reconnect to her essence, because
Yes.
sometimes you're in a crappy marriage because you're in a crappy mood. It's not always the circumstances are not always at fault, because when you change then perhaps it's going to give a breather to the relationship as well. But I'm not a marriage counselor, not by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, that's that. As far as my work is concerned, that is what I love the most, is
So what I hear is
seeing.
you give people hope,
Yes,
women hope that they can get out of that bad marriage. They have all the power.
they
It's
have
just getting out of
all
their
the
own head.
answers. Yeah, they have all
Yes,
the answers.
getting
But
out of your own.
sometimes you can't see the forest because you're too close to one tree.
Yes,
So what I bring is perspective.
yes, a different perspective
That's right.
and more. I would look at it as more positive and forward thinking, but
Thank you.
teaching people how to be in that moment, because that's all we have.
That's
Future doesn't exist, and
Nope.
the past, it already
It,
happened.
it's
It
it's
doesn't
too
exist
late.
anymore, and it's
It's too
all in
late.
our head
Yeah.
about how we interact. All right, so we're getting to the near the end. Give me some great piece of golden nugget that people can, one, get a hold of you, and can you put that in the chat real quick?
Yeah, if I put my glasses, I think I put
Okay,
it in
put
the
your
chat
glasses on.
earlier. Yeah, if
Yes.
not. Yeah, the my information is already in the chat. So my website is Izzy Fortin. So that's IZZY Fortin,
Okay.
FORTIN. Oh, I made a mistake in the chat, so I'll correct it. Hang on.
Okay. Put it in the
ZZYFORTIN.
StreamYard chat.
Hang on. Sorry, I'm not. Okay, it's right. So it's Izzy Fortin, FORTIN, and on LinkedIn it's Isabelle Fortin. So ISABELLE and not A, and last name is Fortin, FORTIN. And you can book either way, either on my website or on LinkedIn. You can book a discovery call. It brings
What's
you
your
direct.
website?
Izzy, IZZY Fortin, FORTIN.com.
And I'll put that up on the screen real quick.
Thank you.
But all right, so what's the last little bit of nugget in welcoming of new clients, or who are you wanting to help?
I want to help anybody who wants to work with me. My specialty is women, but I work with men as well. I have a few guy clients, and if you're lost and you don't know what your next step is, we'll figure it out together real quick.
Outstanding.
Thank
Well,
you, Philip.
we've come to an end, and I would like to thank Isabel. You're awesome.
Thank you.
I
Right back
look
at you.
forward to future conversations. You know what? This whole thing is to bring out great people, and then we can get into topic discussions with a group of people
That's
rather
right.
than, and be enlightened and know that it all starts with you.
It does. And that's a
And
great thing because that means you have the power.
exactly. And that's all we need.
That's
And
right.
I look forward to my next podcast or my next LinkedIn Live, and to where we talk with someone else and get their viewpoints and what they're doing. Isabel, you're doing great and wonderful things.
Thank you. Right
I
back at you.
greatly appreciate everybody that showed up. And you know what? We look for making this world a better place when we work together and
One
gain.
person at a time.
All right. Thank you very much. And you guys have a great and wonderful day.